Is it high value to expect a man to change in a relationship? Hello Swans, I'm Yvonne, your marriage and divorce coach here at Black Swan Relationship Academy. And today we're going to look at, is it high value to expect a man to change in a relationship? The simple answer to that question is yes, you can expect a man to change. But unfortunately, that isn't always the way, because you know what? We change to accommodate the request. We don't change. The change is superficial. It hasn't touched our heart. And so, you know, we'll change for that specific moment. However, change can happen like that at the drop of a hat. We'll change for something. Change takes place in us depending on what the request of us is, how important it is to us, and what is the benefit for us when we've done it. And if that's what why you've asked the person, your significant other, to change, because you're expecting an outcome at the end of it, then unfortunately you may be disappointed. And the reason why is because by the very nature of who we are, our change, if it's a request that is made, will only facilitate a certain time. We can only, it's almost like being in a holding pattern. You're holding that position for, you know, a few weeks, a couple of months at best, you hold it. And then after that, you go back to being who you always, you know, who you were, because the change didn't touch your heart. Nothing in there was disturbed. You could only maintain it for a short period of time. And if you want your significant other, your high value man, to change in the relationship, then in order for that change to take place, then you've got to look at yourself. You must change first, because when you change and when he sees the change in you, then he too will want to change. Because you know what? When we change the way in which we do things, when we change the way in which we, you know, used to operate, you know, if before you came home from work and you were grumpy, nobody could speak to you, you know, if they said hello because you've had a bad day, or whatever the situation is, your answer, you know, you kind of answered them from the pit of your stomach somewhere. There was no joy, you know, coming from you. There was no gladness, you know, to see you when you got there. And if that's, you know, that's just, you know, one area. And if that's, you know, you're wanting change from that, you have now can't show up and say, you know what, I'm not going to do anything about my way because I am perfect, I'm right. They're the ones that's going to have to change to accommodate me. But unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. What we have got to do is we have got to coexist with this person within our sphere. So in order for life to be abundant, there to be joy, peace, happiness, and love in a household, if we are expecting the other person to change, then let's start by changing ourselves first. Let's start by looking at self and asking the questions, what is it that I'm doing? Why is it when I come home from work that I am, you know, being obnoxious? Why is it when I come home from work, I can't smile, I can't greet everyone, you know, with a hug and a kiss, or, you know, whatever it is? Why am I behaving this way? What is it that is in me that is triggering this? It could be a case of where what I've said just now is basically quite insignificant for some relationships. For some relationships, it can be quite traumatic when their significant other comes home. And if you're that person, then my suggestion to you would be to get some professional help, to speak to a therapist or a counselor who's going to be able to, you know, to help you to navigate and to discuss and find out why these things are happening, you know, in your relationship, and give you the tools that you'll need to navigate yourself around it, or to make other changes that is going to be necessary for you. If that's not you, and there's just, you know, some things that you don't love on yourself enough, you don't take care of yourself enough, but you know that your relationship with your significant other would benefit from some change, then change you. Be the change, you know, be the person who makes the change, because the only person that you can change is you. And when the change begins, the change first, after it leaves our, you know, subconscious, because we know that we don't want to be this way anymore, then, you know, you start work on yourself, then it hits your heart. When it hits your heart, then it becomes a permanent place. It becomes something that you do, you know, it's like breathing. You don't even think about it. It's what you do. The change in us, when we start loving ourselves, the first thing that happens is that our confidence grows. The confidence that we have in the things that we do. We know who we are. When we know who you are, nobody has to try to convince me that my name is Yvonne. They don't have to try to convince me that I'm a woman. They don't have to try to convince me that I've got black hair. I can see it. I know it. It's there. And so when you know what you know beyond a shadow of a doubt of who you are, then it's difficult for somebody to try to tell you that you're not that person. So what you then do is, when you know yourself, and the word says to thine own self be true, and when you're true to you, that truth and that knowledge that you have about you is a joy to behold. That then becomes, it's almost like addictive, because you want to be around that person. All of us want to be around the person who's happy. We want to be around the person who's joyful. You know, when you come home from work, and, you know, yesterday they were used to you being this way, and you come in and you see the children, you're hugging everyone, you're loving on, you know, your boo, and, you know, you're talking to them, you're saying, I'm in the kitchen, do you want to come and do this for me? Let's do this together. They want to be with you because they love in the change that you're in. You're smelling differently, you're behaving differently, you're acting differently. And that is addictive. Not only is it addictive, but it causes everyone around you to say, okay, if she can do it, so can I. You know, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. And because I want to please her, I want to do this for her, I want to do that for her. And guess what? Before you know it, there is this new level of understanding in the home. There is this new level of joy in the home. There is this new level of peace in the home. And I say all of that to say, I've seen it happen in my own home. There was a time where, you know, my significant other would come home and he really would be grumpy, and I wouldn't speak. I wouldn't say anything. I'd just take one look at his face and do, you know what? I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying anything, just got on with what it was I was doing. And then I realized, you know, why am I reacting that way to him? I don't know what his day has been like. And because I didn't know what his day had been like, what I then decided to do is, okay, how can I make this better? What is it that I can do to turn this around? Because I didn't like it, and there was no point in me saying anymore, why are you always grumpy when you come home? You know, and it's not helping us. So what I did was, I decided to change the way in which I behaved when he came in. So instead of sitting there thinking, oh my God, look at the look on his face, when he came home, I did one very simple thing. I would smile at him and say, how are you? And I continued to do it, and to this day I do that. Just something very simple was changed. It is easy to smile at someone, it truly is. And I can now smile when he comes in, I smile. And guess what? After a period of time, when he came home, he didn't come home grumpy anymore. He checked it at the door. When he came into the house, he came in, he smiled at me, I smiled at him. How are you? How has your day been? And then we begin the conversation. It's small, but sometimes we think that marriages do because of the big things. It's the little things in them that can cause the to happen. And so before it gets there, look at you and see how you can change the situation. Is it something simple that you can do that will turn his frown upside down, that will make there be joy in the home again? If there's anything that I've said that has resonated with you, why don't you send me a DM? Book a discovery call with me so that we can look at this further. If you haven't done so already, why don't you subscribe, share, like? Until I see you again next Saturday. Until next Saturday, have a fabulous week. Enjoy all that you're going to do this week until I see you next Saturday. Take care. Bye-bye.